I woke up this morning and for whatever reason, conversation around going to college and if it is worth it was on my mind. And then I said, well, Q, that's not really a full video. That's just a quick little blurb. And then I thought about some of the other implications of going to college, which include dating and marriage and partnership. And it made me think about a situation that's close to me, close to my family. And overall, it made me think that black people perhaps are missing out on a piece of information that I think other people have when they go to college, and that is mate selection. I think college has been such out of reach for us for so long that when we finally could go and start attaining degrees, that was the only thing that we focused on, but nobody ever told us to focus on mate selection. Want to talk about it? Here it goes. Nessa girl, I was getting ready to come to y'all to do a whole video about is going to college in 2024 worth it, right? And then as I started fleshing out all the different ideas and all the different pros and cons, it brought me to a greater conversation that I want to have that I think will be very interesting for y'all, and that is mate selection. So let me get the going to college in 2024 part out of the way. Me personally, I think in 2024, especially looking at what I do for a living and how I earn my income, I think that college is slowly becoming obsolete when it comes to the workforce. We've seen now that a lot of companies are relaxing criterias, degree criterias in order to get a job. And truth be told, a lot of people who go to college and get a degree never end up working in their field. And if you get a general degree, English, psychology, sociology, something like that, you still end up with a job at State Farm Insurance Agency doing something, and they end up training you from the time you walk into the door, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the degree. So here is the advice that I give my nieces and my nephews and people that are around me. When it comes to getting a degree from college, you've got to be very specific about the degree, right? Like, I think college is definitely necessary if you're doing something like law, architecture, medicine, things of that sort where you need specific, specialized training in a particular field. But if you're not doing anything of the sort and just getting a general old degree to end up with a general old job, I kind of don't think college is worth it from the academic perspective. Now, here is why I will always be a proponent of college. I think that there is no other buffer between being a teenager and adult than college or the military. And here is why. Both of those places provide a secure, safe space for people to transition from teenage years to being an adult. You're in a confined space with other adults who are monitoring you. You are dropped smack down in the middle of a place with a bunch of confused ass teenagers just like you. And what better place to be confused than on a college campus with a bunch of other confused teenagers, right? Y'all can all be confused and figure it out together. I, have oftentimes had conversations with parents who never went to college, and they'll be like, oh, my child don't know what they want to do or whatever. Hold on, my DoorDash here. That was just an update message. Child, I got me some brown stew chicken coming. Anyway, a lot of parents will say that haven't gone to college, oh, my child don't know what they're going to do, so they just going to stay home for a year until they figure it out. And I always tell them, I think that's bad advice. I think there is no better place than for your confused child to figure it out on a college campus, because her peers, teachers, advisors can probably help them figure out something. And leaving home and being thrust in another environment is always, in my opinion, going to be a good thing for a person's overall well-being and worldview. That's the other thing about college when done right. I think it's also necessary to make a better, well-rounded individual that you leave home. you go at least 4 or 5 hours away from home. Ain't no running back home every day, running back home every weekend. Get the full immersive college experience. College will always be, something that I push because of the social aspects. It teaches you the ways of the world, how to get involved in the world, how to get along with different people. And someone once said to me, if you do college right, you should leave with one of everything that you need. I have lawyers, doctors, dentists, architects, anything you can name, I have in my phone as close friends that I can call if ever I needed something. But anyway, this part of the conversation can get kind of boring. Here is something that I want to talk about that I think a lot of black people miss out on college or were never told or taught about, that I think I've witnessed white people get right. And that is mate selection. I'm 40 years old right now, and I look at all of my college friends who are in my age bracket who are not married with kids, and I bump us up against those of us that do have kids and are married. And most of my friends that are married, they got coupled off in college or shortly there afterwards, right? And then, there always was this joke that says white women go to college to get their MRS degree. And then it made me think about a situation that's close to me, and I hope I don't get in trouble for having this conversation, but I'm going to have it anyway. I know someone who went to college to get an engineering degree, black guy, dating a white young lady or whatever, and she was getting her degree, whatever it is she was getting in, something general. Now, she ended up graduating before he did. And then, in addition to, he decided to stay one more year and get a master's degree. During the time that he was getting his master's and she graduated, instead of, moving on with her life, moving to New York, moving to California, getting a career job with her degree, she stayed on campus and worked an on-campus job, a student job, despite the fact that she had a degree, in what looked like waiting for him. All right, this young man finally graduates with his master's, gets a job in another state, making, close to six figures, and she tags along. And it looks as if they are on the marriage track. And bam, you know what I'm saying? She finna have her a high wage earning husband. And, it's kind of giving right now that her intentions are to just be a mom, be a housewife, and be taken care of. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, I'll be honest and say, when those around this young man found out that this young lady had graduated and she was still working a campus job and essentially, waiting for him to finish, it made some people uncomfortable and question things because people saw it for what it was, right? But then people had to step back and say, okay, well, you know what? If these two people love each other and they've already had the conversation about doing this for the long haul, then there really is no problem with what it is that's going on, right? But it still made folks feel a little uncomfortable because nobody wants their son to be viewed as a meal ticket, right? For anyone. But then again, we also have the argument that the man is supposed to be the protector and the provider. So, if he's the protector and the provider, then that's not a meal ticket per se. It's like, we can't have it both ways. What are we saying here? So everybody had to dial it back and just mind their damn business, right? But it made me reflect on the situation and say, how crafty was this situation at such a young age? And I began to wonder who taught her that. Because nobody ever had a conversation with me about partnership when going to college. A lot of my black female friends, I've never heard them while we were, in college talking about, oh, I need to find a husband. Oh, I'm trying to, get in this person's eyesight to get. Child, we was trying to pledge and graduate and go to the parties and drink and have all kind of love, sex, dirty sex, every sex, in the words of Jocelyn Hernandez, and pooling our money together trying to buy cheap liquor or whatever the case may be. But should we have been taught that? Like, should we have been taught? Let me back up. I think in the black community, sometimes when we send our children to college, we're a little short-sighted. We just want them to graduate. We just want them to graduate. We just want them to graduate and go on to get a good job. But no one puts any real emphasis on what really does matter in life, right? Which is like family and love and building your village, so on and so forth. And I just wonder what the black college experience would look like if people were more intentional about coupling off at that age. Especially when we start talking about black women in particular, saying there's such a shortage of good men, eligible men. Now that I'm thinking about it, wouldn't college be the perfect time to get said men? Man, don't we think it's smart for our daughters to start putting their poom poom shorts on and hanging out in front of the medical building, hanging out in front of the law building, hanging out in front of the School of Dentistry and the School of Architecture? I listen to Dr. Heavenly talk a lot, and she says that, she went to Meharry and went to medical school specifically because she wanted a certain type of husband. And I'm just so baffled by this phenomenon because I'm like, I feel like me, my friends, and my peers completely missed out on this aspect and this component of going to college. And I think as the world evolves, we need to start being a little more intentional with our dating situations, particularly with our daughters. So while a lot of us sat back and, looked at this white young lady with the side eye, now I'm kind of like, sis, I see you. And you got this thing right. Because guess what, baby? Mama good. Mama is 22 years old, 23 years old. And she good. She like, shit, child, I ain't got, bitch, I'm done. Bitch, all I want to do is dress and rest. Because I have achieved my mission. Cha-ching, okay? And it's weird because so many of us want to run out to the club and get ballers and entertainers. And the reality of the situation is there's only a very small percentage of people out there, females out there, that have what it takes to even play in that league with those type of guys, or even have the physicality to attract those types of guys. That's not everybody else. So I think life would be a little easier if folks got a little more intentional about marriage at the college level. Now, I'll say this. I remember me in college and thinking about a family or relationship or marriage was the absolute last thing on my mind. So again, what was this young lady taught as an adolescent and as a teenager that put that at the forefront of her mind at such an early age? I am so fascinated by this, and I'd be curious to know what other cultures, kind of get that life strategy thing going on that early in age. So, am I alone on this, or are y'all here with me? Did y'all parents talk to y'all about finding somebody in college to get married to, or you just happen to have fallen into your mate by happenstance? For those of y'all who are looking at this who are married, did you have a strategy? Was it strategic? Did you, purposely put yourself in a situation to find a certain type of husband or a certain type of wife, drop down in the comments and let me know. But Whitefish got it right, y'all. I think it's time we make a small pivot and we start sending our daughters to college to get their MRS degree. For those who are looking for, high earning man, let's talk about it.